This was what Holy Prophet ﷺ declared, that there will be the violence and mass killing would be the greatest disruption in the history of last time. Now, I would be pleased to leave the remaining time for all of the respected audience and the participant for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We do have some time for questions.
Dr. Qadri, thank you very much indeed. I think all of us here will be very grateful to you for your very clear exposition and your very strong views about suicide bombing and terrorism. And that is very, very important. But we have a problem in this country with those whose view of Islam, while they themselves speak strongly against terrorism and suicide bombing, have a view of Islam and an approach to Islam that is fundamentalist, narrow, extremist, and very militant. And the outworkings of that Islam is very antisocial and hostile. And we think of those, for instance, that come with Wahhabi backgrounds, those with Deobandi background, and so on. And there are major mosques in this country. I've named, for instance, one, the East London Mosque, where this sort of Islam is very rife. They will speak strongly against suicide bombings and terrorism, but nonetheless they'll propagate a very antisocial form of Islam. Do you have anything to add to or say about that form from your own perspective?
Thank you very much for this question.
My name is Dr Muhammad from the BBC. Can I ask about a specific situation? There are some scholars who say that the situation between Israel and Palestinians is an exceptional one, and that the rules you talk about would not necessarily apply. Can you tell me what you would say to a young Palestinian who believes that the only course of action he has open to him is to turn to the suicide bomb?
Thank you very much for your speech and your fatwa. I agree with you about Khawarij opinion, and the Khawarij, they are more extreme than the Khawarij of yesterday. But I'm a little bit puzzled of the fatwa of making the terrorist kafir. Because when we talk about Hadd al-Haraba, very clear in the Holy Quran that you cut their hands and legs from behind and you throw them outside the city. Also, I'm a little bit puzzled of the non-dialogue system. While the fifth Caliph, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, sat down the Khawarij, 25,000 of them, and he managed through dialogue to convert 20,000 at least of them to the mainstream. This is a dialogue which we still have to deal with. The fatwa of kafir, he mentioned two imams, which I know of Imam al-Ash'ari. Maybe because of my lack of knowledge, I don't know how Imam al-Maturidi and Maturidi. And I wish that you could have mentioned the opinion of Imam Ahmad Hanbal regarding the kufr. It is the act of kufr which lead the Muslim, the non-Muslim to kill one another, but actually the killing which lead them to become kuffar.
I wanted to ask you, it was very good of you today to issue this fatwa, but how do you reach on a practical level, how do you reach out to the hardliners who are already there?
Thank you. Good question.
I think I make it clear, although not related to this question, that whatever I have done just for the sake of prayer of my Lord and my Creator. And I have done just and just only for the betterment and the service of my deen Islam and for the service of humanity and mankind, which I believe in. I have not written this fatwa for prayer of any government, any agencies, because the minhaj-ul-quran is a movement which has never ever up till today taken any kind of aid or grant in any manner up to the extent of single penny. We are just working on our own behalf. This ceremony is also has been sponsored by minhaj-ul-quran itself. But the only help and support which I will request and hope is that all these people, the media people, the concerned, those who are in a position to communicate this message in all parts and corners of the world, through media, if you just follow it up, convey this message to the world, and those thousands and millions of people who are lost, they are misguided, through your efforts, these words and voice goes everywhere, it is published, articles are written, messages communicated, so that they become in need, they feel themselves in need to get this fatwa from anywhere. And let me explain, I never take a single penny as royalty on my books. Being author of 1,000 books, and 400 books have been published, and speaker of 7,000 topics, I in my life has never taken a single penny as an author or speaker on my royalties. I do just service of humanity, for sake of humanity and for prayer of my Lord or my God. I am just serving the mankind, and I request you to join this great cause of for mankind, so that the mankind which is burning in the fire of hatred and fire of extremism and the fire of terrorism and the fire of militancy, and this militancy which is dividing the world of mankind, so that by this effort which we have started, we should reunite the world again, and we should bring again a peace and tranquility and love and brotherhood and tolerance for the whole of mankind, and good messages communicated to East and West, and the people belonging to Islamic faith or belonging to other faiths, they should learn living together, and they should think that the terrorists are the common enemy of the whole mankind, and they don't belong to any religion. This is the only support which I want from you.
Thank you very much. Time is very short. We have to bring...
Usman, what seat? You go first. No, Usman will take الكفار أو مثل الكفار وأشباههم لأنهم استحلوا دماء المؤمنين بأنبار.
Want to ask you just about what we are expecting as an impact in the Muslim world within this fatwa.
I hope the Muslim, inshallah, this depends upon the media ways, the television channels and the newspapers and the electronic channels. If they propagate it as much and they arrange some talks on this and they convey it to each and every single individual of the Muslim world, particularly the youth, I hope they will read it and they will get benefit, and this will bring them a light of the real and true meanings of Islam, and this will bring them out of the darkness of their ignorance, and they will be able to understand what we were taught that was wrong. What we have been committing, that is totally wrong. Islam is not a piece of extremism or militancy. Islam is a piece of peace and love for the whole mankind. Holy Prophet was not for only the Muslims. He never stated in Holy Quran that Ya ayyuhan nas inni rasulun ila al-muslimin. He stated Ya ayyuhan nas inni rasulun ilaykum jami'a, and he was made wama arsalnaka illa rahmatan lil alamin. So the message of Quran is peace, and message of Holy Prophet is love and mercy and compassion for whole of mankind. So we have to bring the better face of Islam for the whole mankind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sheikh, as I was saying, how do you think you're going to get your message to the minds of young militants who may reject what you're saying today?
Young militants, everybody amongst them is not a terrorist. Majority are on their way to become a terrorist. So I think overwhelming majority, those have tendency to become and potential to become terrorists. When they read it, their concept will be changed, because they were given wrong teaching about martyrdom, about jihad, and this suicide bombing will lead to paradise. When they read it, they will think that this is a forbidden act, this is an act of kufr which may lead to hellfire, and this thing will create a big doubt in their minds. And by reading all these evidences, I think they will be forced intellectually and academically to change their mind.
Previously, other Muslim scholars have issued fatwas against terrorism, especially in the wake of the 7/7 bombings. What made your fatwa more significant?
The point is that all fatwas which were issued before, they were just verbal fatwas, just based on a few lines, without providing any strong evidence and original arguments from Quran and Sunnah, and addressing in detail all those relevant major and minor issues which are necessary to be addressed in order to satisfy the youngsters. So these things were not present, they were just a single condemnation